morning, everybody. Welcome back to Dave's Shop. I'm Dave, and it's cold outside. So I hope everybody is gathering their coffee, and I guess we'll see how many people actually have to go to work this morning, and or how many people are sleeping in, I should say. Nice and chilly this morning. It's about, it's probably 16 or 17. Hey, Daniel. Hey, Matthew. How's it going this morning? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Mr. Johnson. Hey, how's it going? Good morning. Nice and cold here in Texas. It's about, I want to say 16 or 17 degrees. Supposed to feels like about 10. So got up a little extra early and turned on. Hey, Stephen. Thank you for joining me over here on YouTube. Yeah, it's a little chilly for Texas. Let me know where you're from if it's your first time here. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and hit all the buttons and do all the fun free stuff that helps the channel. Appreciate that, bro. Joined over here. Bentley just joined. Steve just joined. Roger just joined. Hey, guys, what's going on? You know, I wasn't sure that how many people, at least here in Texas, they've this little cold ice storms, you know, the kids called it snow, but it was really just sleet. That hit Saturday night, and it's still below freezing and hadn't been above freezing since that hit. I think last night I sent out a video and it was about 24 or 25 degrees outside. Felt like it was 12. Well, it's even colder this morning. But I think it's supposed to get up to about 32 today. So we may start seeing some of that ice melt. However, again, it's supposed to be down in the teens again tonight, so it could freeze. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, everybody. So like I said, everybody on TikTok, if you're here and you're new, let me know where you're from. What's the weather like where you're at this morning? Michigan. So it's really cold in Michigan. Yeah, that's what I figured. Anyway, so there's probably a lot of people, at least in my part of the country here, that are businesses are, not all businesses are closed, but a lot of them are closed today because the roads are just like a sheet of ice, and they've shut down some of the major thoroughfares, and so anyway, yeah. This may be the one ice storm we have. We usually have one of these every year. You know, unlike up in the Northeast and the Midwest, and where you get snow pretty regular. You actually get snow here most of the time. We don't get snow. We get sleet. It looks like snow, but it's really sleet, and turns into ice. And the ice is really what makes it dangerous. So most of the schools here are all closed today. Some of the businesses are closed or won't open till later today. So that's where we're at weather-wise here in Central Texas. Farmer John, thank you for joining us this morning. Good morning, everybody. So like I said, I wasn't sure how many people would actually join this morning. Tharby71 just joined. Good morning. Jessica over here on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Any football fans out there? Y'all saw the two games. I think the one that I caught part of was Denver and New England, and New England ends up being the winner of that. But man, did you start to see that fourth quarter? I mean, it went from, I'm sure it was cold there already, but I mean, in a matter of probably just a few minutes there during that game, Went from no snow on the ground to covered in snow. And the last few minutes of that game, it looked like they were playing in a blizzard. LaDonna Freeman joined. Good morning. Hey, LaDonna. Kristen, Playmate joined. Good morning. JDG 142. Good morning, everybody. So if you're on TikTok, you just did a drive-by. Hey, man, stay a while. Let us know where you're from. Tell me what the temp is, where you're at. Like I said, it's about 16, 17 degrees here, and it's supposed to feel like it's 7 or 8. It's cold outside. I got up a little extra early and turned the heat on in the shop. And let's see here. Says that it's like 60, about 61 degrees where I'm sitting now. So, which is good because it was about 49 out here this morning, which is pretty good. That means that insulating that garage door like I did definitely had a help. AAA Dean, good morning. Thank you for joining us. PMS Uncle Jimbo. I dig the stash. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I've been growing that one since I was 11. Louisville, Kentucky. Lux, what's up, buddy? Oh man, that coffee tastes good this morning. So yeah, it's been kind of a crazy weekend. You know, it looks like there's some more stuff going on in Minnesota. That's always disturbing to hear. I hate to hear that. But anyway, so there you go. What is it? Lux says it's 12 degrees, feels like it's 1. Oh, man, that is just, I mean, here in Central Texas, they actually broke a 100-year record on how cold the temp was here. So I thought we'd had some colder weather, some cold weather like this in the past, but I guess not. I agree, Nicole. It's really frustrating when the not local, but when the major stations, broadcast stuff like that, and they do it just to get a reaction, and they get reactions out of people. They never tell the whole story. It's always one-sided. I mean, the guy was there with a camera in their face. I guess he was trying to make a TikTok video. And of course, their story is that he was an emergency room RN. And I don't doubt that. And I mean, I surely don't support him losing his life. But I'm like, my God, why would you go down there and instigate something and carry a firearm and then expect that nobody's going to do anything or that something bad might happen to you? When you've already seen what's going on down there, why wouldn't you just stay home? But some people seem to think that they have the right to do whatever they want to do. Let's see here, Michelle. She's from Lusa, Kentucky, and she says it's 10 degrees there. Colorado, in the Rockies, 10 inches. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, during that football game, it's like somebody flipped a switch. It just was crazy. Lux says he lives on a river there in Kentucky, 10 to 15 degrees colder. No doubt. No doubt. If you live out and you're not in a major city, the temps that they report are definitely much colder. It's the same thing here too. Preschoolers better than, yeah, you're right. The preschoolers do behave better than the riders. But, I really wonder because, you'd seen that before where they have, they hire people to go in and stir the riders up and do some of that. I wonder if some of that's going on too. But I mean, after the first tragedy where the lady tried to, use her car and got in the middle of that and got shot, wouldn't that indicate that probably a good idea would be not to be down there in those guys' business when they're trying to conduct law enforcement stuff? I don't get it. But it's like I always tell my granddaughters, I can't fix stupid. Yeah, I agree. The whole thing's just, it's a big giant mess. So I got 12 inches of snowdrift against my front door yesterday morning and couldn't get out of the house. I've heard stories like that. I've never seen any of that, Lux, but that's crazy that you would have, a foot of snow up against your door and you can't even get out your front door. Appalachian, Michelle, they've got about 2 inches of snow. Mowing God. Hey, what's up, Mowing God? So, Lux, what do you do when there's, when you have snow like that piles up around your front door and you can't get out? I mean, is there a method to being able to get out and I guess try to clear your sidewalk? And Maria just joined on TikTok. Hey, Maria, how you doing? Rule by Saturn. Normal folks need to work. Not sure what's up in Minneapolis. Maybe they don't work there. Yeah, I don't either. I don't, like I said, obviously they're really, really dumb, or, I don't know what their mental capacity is, but I mean, why would you want to be down in the middle of that? And then why would you want to agitate the situation that's already really stressful? It's stressful for the, what's going on. And, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And I mean, I would tell those people in Minneapolis, stay home. And then you have that corrupt governor of Minnesota and the ignorant mayor of Minnesota, and they're just out there making it worse. So, oh well. Above my head, I don't know. Bad deal. So Lux's house since he's close to the river, it's elevated 40 feet off the ground. Just had to keep pushing on the door. Okay, so you were eventually able to get it open, I'm guessing, or at least enough to get the snow away from it. Dang, you must be pretty close. Are you in a floodplain, Lux? If you're 40 feet off the ground, you must be close to the river or in an area that the river comes up. I could see where that might be a little scary too if we ever had a lot of rain. Will just joined on TikTok. Hey, buddy, what's up? Ruled by Saturn. They're hiding truckloads of cash in Minneapolis and trying to figure out how to get it out. Really? I hadn't heard that. Your signage is fantastic. Thanks. I appreciate that. See, there's some more. It goes all the way over there. Yeah, I have a whole wall there, and that was one of the things that I did over the weekend, my Saturday project, and I haven't posted the videos yet because I wanted to share it with people who join on lives first, since we had talked about it last week. What's this? Ramon Milk, 37.94. Nicole, good, you got ice cream. Sweet. Sits on top of a 12 telephone poles. Okay. That's kind of like having a tree house that high up. Oh, my video. I'm going to have to. Right after this live, I'm going to have to go check that out. Look at the videos of the flood last April. Okay. I'd be afraid I'd go to sleep and, a storm would hit in the middle of the night. You'd step out your front door and be in a foot of water. Or, water would be rushing. You'd be in the middle of the river instead of near the river. Bearded Bastard Barbecue Sauces. What a name. Yeah. So I was watching something on YouTube last night, and the guy, he always starts, he interviews people, right? Which I think, it's pretty cool. He interviews different people. And the one that I watched this weekend, he was interviewing Tony, what's his last name? Anyway, he's a motivational speaker. Tony Robbins is who he was interviewing. And it was a pretty long interview. It was over an hour. And it was really interesting. And all the people that had worked with Tony Robbins. And I think maybe he should be working with some of those people in Minnesota to teach them to stay home. I'm not sure. But anyway, it was really interesting. The guy always, at the beginning of his videos, he talks about how fortunate he is about having people who join his, and he does his like a podcast instead of a live, but, the only difference between a live and a podcast is that the live is recorded and edited and then posted. Whereas, this is live. And so I would tell you, so I'm going to do, I said, maybe I should start doing the same thing. So 1, thank everybody for joining this morning. 2, thank you for engaging, because if you don't engage in a live, then there's really not much of a live. So it's your engagement that makes this show happen every morning. Makes me want to get up at 4 and try to get prepared and have something to talk about, and it's all because people like you come in and join the live. And so the free things that always help the channel, so that I can continue to do this, and I need to grow so that I can attract a sponsor, because, hey, let's face it, the sponsors can help bring on and do a lot of things that without sponsors you can't do. And to get those, you need followers. So, if you follow or subscribe already, thank you. And thank you for coming every day. If you don't, consider subscribing. Follow, like, share it with your friends. Bring your friends to the live if they get up this time of morning. It's really appreciated, and I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining this morning. I know it's cold and wintry, and I think I sent out a video telling everybody to bring your blankies because it's going to be cold this morning. So the Texas weather hasn't disappointed. It is pretty chilly outside. Thank you, Omar. Thank you. MFG joined. Hey man, how's it going? So yeah. So and so a little lighter on the agenda today is, we talked about the weather. We know it's cold everywhere. There's snow. The 2 football games, Denver lost. New England's going to be playing in the Super Bowl, and the Seattle Seahawks also won. And so it looks like it's going to be Seattle Seahawks and New England in the Super Bowl. So here's my one question to you. Who's your I don't really have a team in the fight, but I have a team that I think is probably going to win the Super Bowl. So in the chat, let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Maybe you don't even care. I don't know. I never know. What about those Hoosiers? Yeah, I was rooting for them too, and I'm so glad that they won the college national championship. I tell you, I was they're not normally the team that I support, but that's okay because I mean, who can't get behind an underdog? They weren't expected to win the national championship, I guarantee you. And they didn't start off all that great, but boy, they came on at the end of the year. And when it counted, that group of guys came together. And it just goes to prove to you that you can have a winning team and you don't have to have all these five-star athletes on it that are paid millions of dollars now to win. Indiana didn't have one single five-star player on their roster. So, yeah, they did good. Ruled by Saturn, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I understand that you got to go to work. There's some of us that, you know, if you live up in the Midwest and the Northeast, snow, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for the most part, it snows and the weather's like that so often that it's just a regular work day. Yeah, you got to get up early. You got to get your car warmed up. But, man, they just get out there on the roads. And of course, I think a lot of it, too, is it is snow. Not that there's not some ice. There is. And I think the biggest difference is in Texas, it's not really snow. It's sleet. And it does turn into ice here. And that's the big difference, is everything's icy on the road. Like I think they said we had about a half inch of solid ice on I-35 Saturday morning. So, and you can see there, Lux says in Kentucky, the streets are all ice too. So, you know, I don't know if up north, Midwest, up on the East Coast, if they're just better prepared with equipment to try to make the roads more travelable. You know, we're safe where people can get to work and get home. But usually in Texas, it's at least one day a year they'll have this kind of weather, and they'll close the schools. And understandable, it's not worth you know, having a school bus and your kids on it to have an accident because the roads are icy. Good morning, Ed. How's it going? Omar, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. I bet. So what was it? Here we go. Did everybody know that it's National Spouses Day? How about that? It's National Spouses Day. I didn't know that. Good morning. Another cold one. Hey, Ed, what's the temp there? So while Ed's getting ready, he's probably still grabbing his coffee and stuff. Yeah. So, you know, I have a little heater under my desk there that point at my feet. So it does pretty good. And then I've got a couple of small heaters behind me going. And surprisingly, since I insulated the garage door and made some changes there, it's made a big difference. And I think yesterday, of course, after a few hours of these heaters running, so like I showed the temp earlier, and it was like just 60 degrees. Well, I don't know if you can read it, but it's up to like 64. So it's up to 64 degrees. And so it's not too bad in here right now. And if you leave these heaters on nonstop for, you know, several hours. I don't know. It got up to, I think it was maintaining about 68 degrees in here yesterday. And it was like 19, 20, 25 degrees outside all day yesterday. So I would say for two little, I mean, look at that space heater back there. You see that little white? That's the heater. And I mean, those are not big, really big heaters. I have that one and another one on this side's exact same one. And they're really like heaters that a lot of times people will take to their office and put at their desk, you know, on their feet if they're cold natured or so. I'm surprised how much they actually warm the garage, but they do. So, so far so good. Holy moly. So Northern Illinois, 0, wind chill -14, and you surely want to stay in the house there. Man. That's cold. Anyway, Rule by Saturn, thank you for joining us this morning. Be safe out there going to work. Robert. Yeah, I have just my regular socks on, but like I said, I have a little heater underneath the desk here, and it blows some warm air, keeps your feet warm. Yeah, because you know everybody knows if your feet gets cold, you're probably not going to feel warm. But yeah, my feet are fine right now. But yeah, so it's National Spouses Day. Let me see. So you know, if you have a spouse, or you've been married a real long time, make sure you after this show's over, as soon as she wakes up, gets out of bed, or you know, next time you see her, give her a big hug and a kiss, and tell her Happy National Spouses Day. That'll always be fun. Let's see. You know, I saw some other stuff too that I didn't know about. Besides National Spouses Day, one that I thought was really kind of funny and never heard of before. Have any of you ever heard of National Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day? Can you please join? Can I please join your live? Oh. Lux, what are you asking? Can you join the live? Wow. So yeah, National Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day. So like, I guess if you run across a piece of bubble wrap today, you know, take it, you know how people like to pop them. And if somebody says, please stop, you know, to me, that's really annoying when the kids, you know, when people just sit there, and, especially the ones, the bubble wrap that's the little bitty bubbles that you can hold in your, you know, and pop, 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 pop. Yeah, that you see sometime wrapped in packages. Oh, okay. Let's see here. What else? It's also National Green Juice Day. So if you are a green juice drinker, I don't think I drink green juice. You know, it's like kale, spinach, celery, and they put it in a blender. It's probably really good for you, but you know, how do you get a National Green Juice Day? Or, I mean, I can get behind this one, National Peanut Brittle Day. How many people like peanut brittle? I love it. It's great. It's sweet. Reminds me of when I was a kid. My grandmother used to make homemade peanut brittle. It was delish. Got any peanut brittle fans here? Have you ever been to Wisconsin? No, Miss Jones, I never have been to Wisconsin, but I've heard it's really pretty there. especially when there's not 12 feet of snow and it's not 8 degrees outside. um, I've never actually been to the Northeast at all. I think the closest, the farthest state that I've been to is I've been to Tennessee a couple of times. When I was in the coffee business, I had a roaster that I did business with out of Norcross, Georgia. So went into Georgia, and then they had some stuff up in Tennessee. So that's as probably far up as I've ever been. On the East Coast. West Coast, I've been all the way up to the Puget Sound, which is just north of Seattle. A couple of times. I've been to San Francisco once, a long time ago, probably 30 years ago. So it was a lot different place then. Been to the redwoods in Northern California. Been to Mexico a lot. South America, Tulum, the Caribbean there, different times vacationing. Yeah, I'm not a big traveler. I mean, it's gotten really expensive to travel, and I don't have any family in that part of the country. But I've heard it. My dad was a independent insurance adjuster, and what they called a storm jumper, and that's where they sent insurance guys in after like Katrina and some of the major storms where there was mass bad things anyway. So they would go in and for the insurance companies and evaluate and work with them. He did that for about 10 years, and he traveled up into Michigan and Wisconsin quite a bit and would tell me how pretty it was, and even into New York. Everybody assumes New York they associate New York with the big city, the island there, Manhattan, when in reality, a lot of the state of New York is very rural, a lot like it is similar to Texas, not exactly like it, but it's rural. It's like farms and small towns and that type of stuff. Let's see here. What else? It's Better Business Communication Day. So if you have a complaint for the Better Business, for the BBB, I guess this would be a good day to file that. The Better Business Communication Day. How about that? That's nuts. I was just looking at things that happened on today, and I just thought that was kind of funny. So what does anybody have after today? I didn't know that. Yeah, right. Jason Burfield, morning, all the way from PA. Thank you for joining us this morning. 15 miles inland. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I mean, that luckily, like I said, here a lot of the businesses are, especially the smaller ones, are closed today due to the weather. And then you'll have others that may, depending on where the temps go, decide to open up around noon. It's really hard to say. 14 inches of snow there in PA. Wow. That's a lot. Joe D, how's it going? Good morning. Thank you for joining us. There was something else. You do realize, everyone, that, hey, Amy School, Coach B, how's it going? Hey, Coach B, where do you coach? Genova 7780, hello, all the way from Tucson. Wow, okay. So now that's on the west side of the United States. It's bright and early where they're at. 2 hours, I believe Tucson's like 2 hours behind us. and it is 6, so it's like 4:40 there in the morning, Arizona. Yeah. Are you, Genoa, are you on Mountain Time or are you on West Coast time? Jorge, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Ed, thank you for the gifts. I appreciate that. So, Dirt Track Fan won. That was a drive-by. He must went by on his motorcycle. It's 5:30 here. Okay, so you are on Mountain Time then. Farmer John just joined. Good morning. Anyway, so you know what today is, right? Today is the first day that the IRS is accepting tax returns this year. Farmer John, thanks. Let me know where you're from, Farmer John. Yeah, so today, January the 26th, first day that the U.S. government will be accepting your 2025 Kansas. Well, I know it's cold there. I've got friends in Wichita, Kansas. So yeah, I guess everybody's excited about doing your income tax. How many people online do their own income tax? You know, don't take it anywhere. You actually, you know, like maybe buy the tax software, H&R Block, TurboTax, or just do it on the IRS website. Okay, you're not far. Farmer John's not far from Wichita. Okay. Anybody here? Okay. What's your serious question? No, I hire a CPA. Okay, so you have, so you know, a lot of times, if you have a business and like Farmer John, you know, maybe he has a big farm that he's running, a big operation, and you know, you should have a CPA. But in this area, if you have a CPA, you better have a lot of stuff. And I just I don't have a ton of stuff that I can't do myself anymore. Of course, they've simplified. You know, used to you had to file the long form so you could take all the tax deductions, and so they over the last few years they really have simplified doing your income tax so that even people who used to file the long form can just file a standard 1040 and you know, take the standard deduction and they're done. And they don't have to worry about keeping all the receipts and this and that. And for me, I thought that was probably the greatest thing, because I just hated having to keep receipts for all kinds of stuff, trying to keep up. I mean, you still got other records that you have to keep up with, but when you had to file the long form in the past, it could be really time consuming and having to keep up with all that stuff. But there are, you know, as bad as we all, so I always look at it like this. 2025 taxes are paid for the most of us. There may be a few of us that end up having to pay something at tax time. I think we all try to not have to do that. RK, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. And so with the tax season starting, you know, I always look for somebody just recently said, well, I did my taxes and they sure didn't help me out any. And I was like, really? I said, you know, it made me kind of curious to why they said that, because I thought that there were quite a few things that were, you know, I guess as much as taxes can be a disadvantage, could be a advantage. And let me see, I made a quick list of them here. Things that I was just curious if you thought that these were good. So Again, the tax season actually starts today, so you can start filing. If you get a refund, you overpay, the government used your money interest-free. You're right. You're absolutely right. But you know, Ed, there's so many people that are not disciplined enough to take that money and set it aside, and save it, or create an emergency fund, or use it. So they let their tax return be their year-long savings. I agree with you, though. I think if you let them hold the money all year, you've overpaid, and they've made money on your money. Anyway, here are a few things that I thought were kind of positive, as positive as could be for the tax season 2026. Did everybody know that the standard deduction went up? And so, that's definitely a good thing. 2025 looks like, for single people, the standard deduction is now $16,100. If you're married filing jointly, it's $32,200, which is, it's the same. You just get to claim it for each person. So the standard deduction going up was good. The tax tables didn't change, so the maximum amount of tax is the same, since they got that bill signed before those tax deductions, those taxes, I think, were back in 2016 is when they passed that originally, and they were scheduled to expire, but they got those passed so that they didn't expire, which I think was a good thing. If you have kids, there's a child tax credit that also got a boost to around $2,200. So that went up some, and that's only for children under the age of 17. How about the no tax on overtime? And I didn't even realize this until I saw this yesterday. No tax on overtime, but that's only up to that only covers $12,500, and then no tax on tips. I think that's probably going to be beneficial too, but that's only up to $25,000. However, whatever it is better than it was, so that's a plus. And I think the biggest one that I saw that affects me personally is the senior bonus deduction, up to $6,000 per individual taxpayer if you're age 65 plus. Lord Scone, thank you for joining this morning. Thanks for the likes. So that's pretty good, and that's in addition to your standard deduction. That's an additional $6,000. And like I said, for married couples filing jointly, it's going to be 12. Now that does adjust if your combined income was over $150,000. It adjusts, and on single taxpayers, I think it's if you make over $75,000, then that amount adjusts. It doesn't go away; it just adjusts down accordingly. Anyway, so those are probably the 5 things that I saw that I felt like were positive things during this tax filing season. I mean, everybody hates to do taxes. I hate doing them. They've simplified them, and that's a good thing. I'm kind of glad. I'm always glad to see things they do that reduce my tax liability to the government. So everybody who thinks that taxes being reduced by the federal government's a good thing, give me a thumbs up. Something. Put something in the comments. Tell me what you think. You're right, Jason. People are struggling. I mean, somebody was just talking about the other day about, hey, I got a raise. And I was like, well, you probably needed it, but I bet have any of you ever actually gotten a raise where it's, if they just kept up with the cost of living, your employer would have to give you a 4 or 5% increase every single year, not based on performance, not based on anything. But if you're working there and they're trying to keep up with the cost of living, you're looking at a 4 or 5% increase annually. Now, if you were a really good employee, did some extra stuff, were a real asset to the company, could be more. It should be more, but the first 4 or 5% would be just to keep up with the cost of living. What is this saying? Lime Water Trip Pack just joined over here on YouTube. I love to not pay taxes. Killing this winter at the car wash. Oh, yeah, I bet. And then John joined on YouTube. Patriots are not draft dodging. Well, I don't know what do you mean by that, but I made $18 an hour 2 jobs ago and still couldn't afford my own apartment. Well, Lime Water, I feel your pain. I had some guys, there was a group of us. If you're new here, you know that just recently I was forced into retirement by a company reorg. And a lot of guys weren't quite as fortunate as I was. At least I'm closer to retirement age. They weren't. And one of the guys had to, or he felt like he had to. I really felt bad for him. He had to take what little bit of money he had in a 401k and pay for rent on his apartment for the next year because he's so scared that it's going to take him several months to find a new job, and more than likely it's going to pay less than what he was making. And so he's trying to keep a roof over his head, and that's pretty bad. North 64 just joined on TikTok. What's up, buddy? Thank you for joining us. And so, the struggle's real out there. Cost of living's up. Housing is housing is crazy. But I want everybody to understand that if you're renting an apartment or you're renting a house from somebody and the state that you live in says, you know what, we're going to raise property taxes or state tax or whatever, in Texas, it's property taxes. There's taxes on your property, your home, your land. And they can arbitrarily say, you know what, your house is worth $500,000 and we're going to tax you on that. Now they've tried to put some laws in place to stop that, just, arbitrarily making a decision on what they think your house is worth. And you can try to argue with them, but you're not going to win 99% of the time. And if you're a landlord and you own a home in Texas and they say your home's last year was worth $300,000 and this year it's worth $700,000, and here's the tax bill, and your tax bill goes from $5,000 a year to $10,000 a year. Well, who you think's going to pay that? The guy's renting the property. That's who's going to pay it, because the owner they don't get a discount. They can't homestead it. They can't do anything except shut up and pay it. And so it's just like anything else in business. If your cost goes up, where does it go? It goes to the end user. And that's why rents are through the roof. I mean, here in Austin, in Central Texas, a friend of mine, his apartment is 500 square feet. It's probably 30 years old, and he's paying $1,250 a month. So I know exactly what you're talking about there. And you're right. People are struggling. That's why I think you're seeing more and more people go back to, and I'll use myself as an example. When I was 18, I moved out of my parents' house, and I never moved back in. I lived on my own all my life. And of course, I got married and had kids and all that. But now 18-year-old kids, they're not leaving home. I mean, you got 18-year-old kids that can't afford to go to college, can't afford an apartment, can't get a job making more than 10, 12 bucks an hour, and you can't rent an apartment on that. So yeah, I know exactly where you're at. That's correct. In Texas, if you own a home and you're on record as the owner, you file for a homestead exemption, which only gives you like a 20 or 25% discount. And then once you turn 65, you get an additional 5 or 10%. I don't know what it is. It does make a difference. But you pay taxes forever. But yes, you're right. There is no state income tax here. However, we have some of the highest property taxes. And that's one of the things that, people talk about for retirees and seniors is that, you've worked 50 years all your life, you pay for your home, and yet if you retire and you can't pay your taxes, you're not going to have a home in Texas. Because they will take it from you. And that ain't right. At what point is that fair? I don't think it is. So I would like to see property taxes, at least on homes, go away totally. Once you've paid your mortgage off, 30 or 40-year mortgage, whatever you had, that home should be yours and that property should be yours, and they shouldn't be able to take it away from you because they deem that you owe taxes on it, my opinion. If they need to raise sales tax based off of what people purchase, I ain't crazy about that either, but at least you're not gonna be taking people's homes from them. And a lot of people, what they do is when they can't pay the taxes, you've heard that saying, regentrification. That's areas of a city where they go into that were predominantly working class or poor, and they're like, I'd like to build. I could bulldoze that old house down, and I could build a 4-plex or 8-plex or an apartment complex there, and I could make a boatload of money. So that's what they do. They look for properties where people haven't been able to pay the taxes, and they take advantage of them, and that's exactly what they do. And I mean, they're going into neighborhoods here and knocking down these old homes that were built in the 50s and 60s, and on the same piece of property, the city is allowing them to put up a 4-plex. So now they've got 4 individual apartments that they can rent, and they're turn it into $1 million property, and they're doing it right in the middle of a neighborhood where there's other homes. And so I don't live in the city of Austin, and never would I do live there again. I lived in the city of Austin back in the late 70s, and it was a whole different perspective. But yeah, nothing like that anymore. People can't figure out why it costs a lot to build a new home. Materials are going up. You're right, North. 64 North, you are absolutely correct. The average home I built was $700,000. Okay, so 64 North on TikTok builds custom homes. I agree with you. I built homes before, not as a custom home builder, but as a construction manager for a major corporation who built homes. And you're right, the cost of material is through the roof. So it's there's a lot of things that drive home ownership up. One, we don't have enough homes being built. Two, in some places we're landlocked, and so they can't build any new homes. Um, uh, so you have that in place, and the cost of materials continue to go through the roof. I don't know if my grandchildren will ever be able to own a home, except for the one that I have here that they will eventually inherit. And maybe that's more what you're going to see. I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, the only thing I would advise all the farmers to do is have a non-revocable trust and put your property in the trust. That's probably the only way you can protect it, because that inheritance tax, that's crazy. And I'm not an expert when it comes to that, but that's something I'd definitely be looking into. And I know when the last time I sat down in front of a lawyer for power of attorneys and a will and all of that fun stuff, unfortunately, I only have one daughter, and I don't have multiple properties. So in Texas, vehicles, if you pass away, can transfer from you to your child, no big deal. Same thing on a home. I even asked, because I'm trying to I don't want her to have to go through probate court, because they charge you for that. You have to hire a lawyer, which is a bunch of BS. I think if you have a will and you say, I'm giving X to Y, that should be the end of it. Just my opinion. Hard to bid on a home when materials change. Yeah, you're right. North 64. It's like somebody wants a bid for a new home. Like, how much is this home going to cost me? And probate 64. I mean, 64 North says probate is miserable. It is. I've heard some nightmare stories about having estates having to go through probate court. It could be, drug out for a long period of time, which to me, it's like you've had a death in the family, so you're dealing with that loss already, and then then you have to deal with something like probate court. I mean, it can get really ugly, and I think that's just a money grab for somewhat. So yeah, but in my case, I asked about doing that, and they said it wasn't necessary. But if I own a lot of property, own a lot of land, something like that, and you have multiple children and you want to protect all of that, you definitely should see a lawyer about doing that. Bonnie, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What is this? Oh, again, from Wales. Hey, land riding Wales, all the way from Wales. Man, that's a long way away. Are you union? No, not union. Same here. Farmers are getting, man, that's nuts. It's about demand. Yeah. Yeah. Taxes in California are off the chain. Man, that's terrible. I can feel for you, because most of my life I've had to work two jobs, and predominantly is because I wanted to have a home, and I wanted to have things that cost money. So I always worked two jobs, and sometimes three. And my wife and I, when we were young, we worked 7 days a week. There were no days off. There were no holidays. And a lot of times we were working two jobs. So I feel your pain. I've been there. I don't think I had just a single job without a second job until I was probably 55. Probably the last 10 years I worked, I had one job. So yeah, the majority of my life, I always had to have a second job. And I don't know how people are, doing it. And, every time I turn around, somebody's hitting me with, oh yeah, our city government here where I live is nuts. And, how would you like to have a $300 or $400 water bill? Because they seem to think that our city and our area is actually not growing because the taxes are so high and the water and electric rates are so high here. But they want people to pay for future growth. And so they've tripled our water bills, and there's nothing we can do about it except for try to move. But you talk to any realtor in the area and they're like, yeah, people don't want to go buy homes in the city of Pflugerville because the water rates and the taxes are nuts. So yeah, we're trying to vote out some of those type of people who want to spend your money since they seem to think that because they collect taxes that it's their money to spend at will. Ask yourself, what's the most excellent thing you can do today? And then do it. You are right, Ed. I agree. 100%. Just, don't listen to me complain. Oh, thank you, Ed. Oh, that's good. That's one of my favorite things that Ed always shares with us is, go do what's the most excellent thing you can do today and then go do it. So I think that's great. And I think everybody has something different. I would add to that, go be kind to somebody because you never know when your kindness is what kind of effect it's going to have on someone. I saw something on the news this morning and I forgot where they were showing it from, but there was a homeless guy and, it was cold and snowing and obviously the guy couldn't walk. So he was, I don't know if he couldn't walk because he was cold, because he'd been outside, and the guy stops, gets out of his truck and picks the guy up off of the ground, puts him in his truck and takes him to a location where it's warm, and they take him inside and take care of him. So, and I'm not telling everybody to go out and try to find a homeless person and do that, but I mean, that's an act of kindness. But there's lots of things that you can do to be kind. Be kind to each other. That's always really easy. If I've had people join the show and at the end, say, God, I'm glad I found you today. Not me, but all of us as a group that are on the live. And I've had people tell me, I was having a terrible day. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I found you because they were scrolling through their phone and they started talking to the people that joined the live. And by the end of the live, they felt so much better. And I mean, what did we do? We were just friendly and we talked to the guy. And so, sometimes being kind is really pretty easy to do and has a really lasting effect on some people. And again, like I said, we never know when somebody joins what their mental state is, if they're having a bad day, bad week, if they're having all kinds of personal issues. So we just don't know that. So yeah, it's easy to be kind. Lord Scone, how's my family doing? They are fine as frog's hair. They're all the granddaughters don't have to go to work today because both of the businesses have shut down due to the weather. So they're getting a free day. And let's see, yeah. So we're all just hanging out at the house. I think after the live here, I'm going to go make some biscuits for breakfast. Some homemade biscuits. I made some a couple of days ago, or well, I'll say a couple of days ago. I guess it's been a week ago, and everybody seemed to really like it. It's a new recipe, pretty easy. I wasn't sure how they were going to turn out. I mean, I'd seen pictures. Biscuits, I'm coming over. Yeah. So everybody in my family likes homemade biscuits, and I never have had time to really try to perfect making them. I mean, I've made them on and off. I've had some that have turned out not very good at all, and you just end up throwing them away. And then I've had some, come out really flat. They taste fine, but maybe they're real packy or something. They don't turn out. But this particular recipe, I got it off the TikTok shop, and a woman was making them, and it's 3 ingredients. It's 2 cups of self-rising flour, a cup of Crisco, and a cup of buttermilk. And the buttermilk, you could add a little more if you needed, depending on how it all works. And all you do is put the flour, you sift the flour, don't just take it out of the bag. Sift the flour into a bowl, and then add your cup of Crisco. Cut it in. You can do it with your hands, or if you have the little fancy cutter, you can do that. And until it breaks down into it's like little balls of dough. And then when you do that, then you'll add your cup of buttermilk and blend it all together with your hands until it's, kind of sticky. And then take it out of the bowl, roll it in a big ball, take it out of the bowl, put it on a floured surface, roll it out to about 1 inch thick, and cut your biscuits out. Now I cook biscuits in a cast iron pan. It's like a frying pan, but that's how I cook them. And so I made sure that I took some Crisco and put it in the pan and lined it. And then you don't preheat the pan or anything. And you cut your biscuits out, put them where they're touching in the oven at about 425 for 20 to 25 minutes. And they came out, 1.5 inches or so. Nice, fluffy, had a little golden top on them. Brushed the tops with some melted butter and had a little honey on one, had some sausage. So yeah, really good. It's about demand. Let's see, Marquis. I'm just reading over here on some other stuff. Yeah, you're right. So Simon, point 2 joined. Good morning. Dre joined. Good morning. Yeah. So that's a quick 3 ingredient biscuit, and I'll probably cook up some bacon or sausage or something, and you can even have a breakfast sandwich. You can fry an egg if you like fried eggs. I do. Put you egg and some sausage or bacon on that biscuit. Go to town. It'll make you fat and sassy, is what my granny always said. So, yeah. Guys, it's about 7:14. I know some of you have to go to work. I don't. So I could keep you here all morning. But the rest of you do have to go to work, I'm sure, especially if you're not here in Texas. If you're in Texas, you may, not necessarily, depending on what kind of work, you may have to go to work. I don't, but some of you do. And I want to thank everybody. Roll Dog, hey, good morning. Live this morning. We will be back again tomorrow, 6 a.m. So thank you, everybody, for joining and engaging. Have a blessed day. Go do something kind today, because you don't know what your kindness and how it can affect someone. So anyway, have a great day. Stay warm if you're in the snow or any kind of bad weather like that. Stay safe, and I'll see you all back here at 6 a.m. in the morning for Morning Coffee Talk with Dave. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being an audience. Make sure you like, share, follow, do all of that fun stuff, because at the end, it just really helps the channel grow. And I want to get us a sponsor so we can do some giveaways. I do have one I'm working on in the background, so I haven't got that all put together yet, but hopefully we'll have a giveaway soon. So anyway, everybody have a great and wonderful day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, Tuesday, for Morning Coffee Talk. Bye-bye.